Greetings, lovely souls. You are welcome today for this short message whereby I will talk about change being inevitable. You see, apparently, change is the only constant, and none is ever the same, at least inwardly. We all have changed either for the worst due to trauma or for the better due to inner work healing. The choice is always an individual one before providence pushes it through suffering and pain. Now, there is hope for all of us. None of us is so horrible that God would forsake us, nor so unforgivable that God would turn away. The truth can come from the unexpected and in unanticipated ways. Yet I tell you this, you are worthy, as everyone else is. Away with the games of better than another, and partiality going on in households and society as a whole. Unworthiness is the worst indictment ever visited upon the human race. In most cases, we have based our sense of worthiness on how we've known ourselves in the past, while God has based our sense of worthiness on the future. Always the future. That is where our life is, not in the past. And so, if you find those that refuse to acknowledge your progress, you might want to keep moving anyways. That is where your truth is, not in the past. What you have done is unimportant compared to what you are about to do. Remember this. And thus, there is no condemning like we see most do, yet they are in the know of this. How you erred is insignificant compared to how you are about to create. God forgives our mistakes, all of them. He forgives our misplaced passions, all of them. He forgives our erroneous notions, our misguided understandings, our hurtful actions, our selfish decisions, and what have you. Others may not forgive you, but God does. Others may not release you from your guilt, but God does. Others may not let you forget, allow you to go on, become something new, but God does. And this is where you will come to see that we have an egotistical being we call God, if you know what I mean. There is an absolute God who isn't a white bearded being from the sky and never punishing. For he knows that you are not what you were, but are and always will be what you are now. A sinner can become a saint in 1 minute, in 1 second, in one breath. In truth, there is no such thing as sinner, for no one can be sinned against, least of all God. That is why he says that he forgives you. He uses the phrase because it is one you seem to understand better. In truth, he does not forgive you and will not forgive you ever for anything. He does not have to. There is nothing to forgive, you see. But he can release you, and he hereby does. Now. Once again, as he has done so often in the past, through the teachings of so many other teachers. But then, because we cannot believe in the goodness of God, forget then about believing in his goodness. Believe instead in simple logic. The reason he has no need to forgive you is that you cannot offend him, nor can he be damaged or destroyed, for he is energy. Yet we imagine ourselves capable of offending, even damaging him. What an illusion! What a magnificent obsession! You cannot hurt God, nor can he be harmed in any way, for he is unharmable, and that which cannot be harmed cannot and will not harm another. You understand now the logic behind the truth that God does not condemn, nor shall he punish, nor have a need to seek retribution. God has no such need, for he has not been and cannot be offended or damaged or hurt in any way. The same is true of you, for you are also small gods, and of all others. Though all of you imagine that you can be and have been hurt and damaged and destroyed. Because you imagine damage, you require revenge. Because you experience pain, you need another to experience pain as retribution for your own. Yet, what possible justification can that be for inflicting pain upon another? Because you imagine someone has inflicted injury upon you, you feel it right and proper to inflict injury in return? That which you say is okay for human beings to do to each other is okay for you to do so long as you are justified? This is insanity. And what you do not see in this insanity is that all people who inflict pain on others assume themselves to be justified. Every action a person takes is understood by that person to be right action or the right action, given what it is they seek and desire. So, desire is the culprit here. By your definition, what they seek and desire is wrong. But by their definition, it is not. One man's meat is another man's poison. You may not agree with their model of the world, with their moral and ethical constructions, with their theological understandings, nor with their decisions, choices, and actions, but they agree with them based on their values and how they've been conditioned. You call their values wrong, but who is to say your values are right? Only you. Your values are right because you say they are. Even these might make some sense if you kept your word about it. But you yourself change your mind constantly about what you consider right and wrong. You do these as individuals and you do these as societies. What your society considered right just a few decades ago, you consider wrong today. What you considered wrong in the not too distant past, you now call right. So those are transitory changes. Who can tell what is what? How do you know the players without a scorecard? And yet, we dare to sit in judgment of one another. We dare to condemn because some other person has failed to keep up with our own changing ideas about what is permitted and what is not. We are really something. We can't even keep our minds made up about what's okay and what's not. That isn't the problem. Changing your ideas of what's right and wrong isn't the problem. You have to change those ideas or you will never grow. Changing is a product of evolution. The problem is not that you have changed or that your values have changed. The problem is that so many of you insist on thinking that the values you now have are the right and perfect ones, and that everyone else should adhere to them. Some of you have become self-justified and self-righteous. Stick to your beliefs if that serves you. Hold tight, do not waver. For your ideas about right and wrong are your definitions of who you are. Yet do not require that others define themselves according to your terms. And do not stay so stuck in your present beliefs and customs that you halt the process of evolution itself. Actually, you could not do that if you wanted to, for life goes on with you or without you. Nothing stays the same, nor can anything remain unchanged. To be unchanged is to not move, and to not move is to die. All of life is motion. Even rocks are filled with motion. Everything moves. Totally everything. There is nothing that is not in motion. Therefore, by the very fact of motion, nothing is the same from one moment to the next. And that is nothing at all. Remaining the same or seeking to move against the laws of life is something that is not worthwhile. This is foolish because in this struggle of life, you will always win. Life will always win with changes. Sticking to meaningless disagreements is immaturity magnified. You can grow old, but just in the physical, with the mind of a child, and the opposite is true. So, change. Change your ideas of right and wrong. Change your notions of this and that. Change your structures, your constructions, your models, your theories. Allow your deepest truths to be altered. Alter them yourself for goodness sake. I mean that quite literally. Alter them yourself for goodness sake. Because your new idea of who you are is where the growth is. Your new idea of what is so is where evolution accelerates. Your new idea of who, what, where, when, how, and why of it is where the mystery gets solved. The plot unravels. The story ends. then you can begin a new story and a grander one. Your new idea about all of it is where the excitement is, where the creation is, where God in you is made manifest and becomes fully realized. No matter how good you think things have been, they can be better. No matter how wonderful you think your theologies, your ideologies, your cosmologies, they can be full of even more wonder. For there are more things in heaven and earth than are dreamt of in your philosophy. And so be open, therefore. Be open. Don't close off the possibility of new truths because you have been comfortable with an old one. Life begins at the end of your comfort zone. Yet be not quick to judge another. Rather, seek to avoid judgment, for another person's wrongs were your rights of yesterday. Another person's mistakes are your own past actions, now corrected. Another person's choices and decisions are as hurtful and harmful, as selfish and unforgivable as many of your own have been. It is when you just can't imagine how another person could do such a thing that you have forgotten where you came from and where both you and the other person are going. And to those of you who think yourself to be the evil ones, who think yourselves to be unworthy and irredeemable, now you've boxed yourself in a certain cave whereby you just see yourself as unworthy. I tell you this, there is not a one among you who is lost forever, nor will there be ever. For you are all in the process of becoming. You are all moving through the experience of evolution. That is what God is up to through you. Now, with the much said, hope you twist off or shift your thinking on God as an all-loving being, no matter what. And till next time, it's love and light from here. Thank you.